So the first thing we're going to do is compose our scene, figure out what it is we're going to draw um, and paint. It helps to be familiar with your environment. So if you're going out to do plein air in a brand new location, sometimes it's nice to just do a few sketches. So you might try doing some sketches whenever you do plein air first. Just feel out your location. Get comfortable because that's where you're going to be for a while. So I'm actually going to stand up, so you probably won't really see me anymore, but hopefully you can see. There's a weird light on here, but oh well. So I'm going to start with charcoal, a little piece of charcoal. Sometimes I like to start with marker. Sometimes I just start painting and I don't do a sketch, but I am going to do a little sketch. So when I begin with the sketch, I just put down the basic shapes of everything. I'm not going to start plugging in my shadows and highlights yet because I just want to get the structure down. So I'm going to just put in the very basic shapes. If you've painted outside before, you know the light shifts really quickly. So if you start a session now, the light might be really different in 15 minutes. Okay, so this is my basic sketch right now. Since I did this with charcoal, I might start blocking in a little bit. I often talk about when you use charcoal, how you could take some glazing medium and brush it down and blend these marks and adhere them to the page. So I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to take some clear glazing medium, but now I will take a brush. Okay, so I'm going to take my glazing medium now and just brush it over the painting, or I'm sorry, over the drawing, so that those marks don't blend so much into my paint when I start putting paint on top. So one of the big challenges when you're doing plein air painting is that the elements, the sun or the wind, will dry up your paints really fast. So you either need to figure out a way to keep them wet longer, or you need to paint a little faster. A lot of people also use watercolors for this reason, or oils because they'll stay wet longer. But I don't like to carry oils around with me when I'm going out to a location. I think actually painting with acrylics outside, doing plein air painting, is what has gotten me to be a really quick painter. So I have this base drawing down now. From here, I'm going to start layering the paint on top. The colors that I have right now, I have some burnt sienna, burnt umber, a huge blob of phthalo blue, dioxazine, alizarin crimson, cadmium yellow medium. I have an orange of some sort. I have a couple different reds and a white. So I think I'm going to start with my burnt sienna. And I'm actually going to mix a little bit of red into it. I like starting with a warm color when I do landscape painting because that gives me something to build the painting on top of. So because I put some glazing medium down, it really keeps the paper kind of wet too for me, so my paints flow a little bit better. The light keeps changing, which is why I'm not going to commit to anything right now as far as shadows and highlights go. I'm just blocking in the basic shapes. A really good tool to have when you are doing plein air painting, if you're working with acrylics, is a water bottle to just keep your paints wet. So here's where I'm at. Gosh, I hope you can see that. I know it's in a shadow. It's really, the sun is playing tricks on me. So yeah, I have a very warm base, and then from here I'm going to be putting my greens, my browns, my neutral colors on top of that. I am not wearing my glasses right now, and I'm doing that on purpose because I don't want to see all the details, to be perfectly honest. There's too many details. There's too many things to see. So I like to have a blurred. So since I have this darker color mixed, I'm just kind of going around the painting and placing in where some dark areas are, but I'm not totally committing to it because, like I said, the light changes. I'm imagining I will only be out here for about an hour, but if I was like seriously out somewhere for longer than that, I wouldn't want to commit yet to any darksome lights just yet. Okay, so here's where I am now. So I've just started to plug in some colors. And from here, I'm going to really try to start refining this and make decisions, what I'm going to keep, what I'm going to let go of, what details I'm going to use, where I'm going to leave something a little less resolved and maybe put more detail in somewhere else in the picture. So when the sun peeks out of the clouds and it gets really bright, that's when I kind of scurry to put in all of my shadows and the highlights. On a very sunny day, the shadows, the contrast between shadows and highlights is greater. So you'll have very dark shadows, very defined shadows, and very warm highlights in comparison. So there's some sky coming through here and a little bit of a break here in trees. So go ahead and put that in. I like to insert some kind of element of surprise or something just a little bit different than the usual traditional landscape painting. I don't know what that is, but sometimes it has to do with the brush work or the color choices, but or the angle of something. But it's nice to have a little surprise in there, a little element of surprise. Just trying to get some of these little leaves that are starting to grow. I'm going to be done for the most part for now. But here's where I'm at. Let me try to get it so you can see it. Change this up. Sorry, I'm in the shade. Okay, there we go.